Okay, you guys, what is up? The King of Lightning is going to do episode 1 review of Eureka 7 AO, or Eureka 7 Astral Ocean, alright? Now, since the first season, Eureka 7, I've been waiting for this, because I heard rumors, and when it finally came out, I'm like, yes. Because, in my opinion, Eureka 7 is a pretty damn good show. I like it a lot. So, when I hear Eureka 7 Astral Ocean, I'm like, good. So, and obviously the main character is the son of Renton and Eureka. So, that being said, the episode, I believe, came out yesterday, but it wasn't translated into English. I think it got translated either last night or this morning. Not too sure on that date. However, what I will say is that it's good. The first episode, in my opinion, I like it. All right. It started at a nice, good pace, you know. We didn't, like, dive into the action, like, bam, action, woo-woo, you know. There's actual backstory, actual development, the introduction of new characters. The characters that are relevant in this episode, in my opinion, are obviously the main character, Ao Fukai. There's Naru, and then there is Gazelle, alright? And these are, like, the 3 relevant characters in this episode, alright? The 2 other old guys who are a part of this organization called General Blue, I'm not too sure, either Generation Blue or General Blue. These guys are not relevant as of right now. Next episode they will be. So as of right now, their names are like out the window. All right, they're out the window. Okay, because I had a lot to do today. I had an exam at 8 o'clock in the morning. Had to do a paper, had to do other stuff. So, and that's why I'm doing it right now. I would have done it earlier, maybe around like 11 o'clock or 12 o'clock, but I was busy. So, that being said, all right, Eureka 7 AO. For this one episode, it's going to be a actual synopsis, but after this week, it's going to be back to the key points. So, basically, episode starts off, and then there's these 2 old guys. Again, the guy with the glasses seems to be the leader of this organization called Pied Piper. But not too sure on that one. Not just yet. We'll find out later. And the old guy seems to be a member of the organization. So we'll find out later. Or correction, the team called Pied Piper, the organization called General or Generation Blue. But as of right now, they're not that relevant, right? And basically, after these old guys, because the main old guy with the binoculars, he was in France and he was searching the area. Because, well, not France. Well, he was in Paris, France. Okay, because we can see the Eiffel Tower, and there was a situation, and I don't remember if this damage occurred before Eureka 7, during Eureka 7, after Eureka 7, and between Eureka 7 AO. I don't remember, but yeah, it's not that big of a deal just yet, I guess. Okay, and basically the big deal is the main character and Gazelle. All right. Naru is relevant, but she's relevant in the sense of she is, I believe that she appears to be Ao's, like, best friend. So, now at this point, we get to meet Ao, and Ao is basically riding this flying contraption on this island. The island, I forgot the name of the island, but it is located within the Japanese Oriental region, you know, Nippon Banzai, yeah. And basically, he's flying this contraption around. He makes a beach landing to answer a cell phone call, or yeah, like a phone call. And basically, it's his friend Naru. And basically he picks up Naru. And Naru is she is an individual who is weak of body. She has some kind of, like, either she was born that way, or she got sick at some point, or I have no idea what it is exactly just yet. We'll find out later, but as of right now, she has a weak body, and she needs an inhaler in order to breathe correctly, like some kind of weird inhaler. And basically, and again, she appears to be Ao's, like, best friend. So, at this point in time, Ao takes Naru to go to, like, a forest location, and in this forest location is a weird sloth. And this sloth apparently seems to be the pet of Naru. So Naru is keeping him hidden in the forest, and at some point there's a transition, and the transition is kind of weird, where Ao leaves Naru in like some weird station, and then he leaves. He hints that he's gonna come back later, but I'm not sure what happens there. I forget. But at some point, he winds up back in the beach, and at this given time, we get to meet Gazel. Because Gazel is an individual. He appears to be a type of smuggler. He smuggles in things, and he has like 2 other guys, Pippo and some other guy. We have no idea who he is, all right? And the thing is, all right, shit gets real once Gazel comes in, all right? What happens here is Gazel and his Goonies are flying over to a Japanese, I believe it's called the Japanese Federation. And they're flying over to give, to one of their ships, to give a, I believe it's called a ECU. Yeah, I think it's ECU. I could be wrong, my bad. Because there are a lot of ECUs and IFUs, like IFU, right? And FPs. No, it's IFO, okay? I mean, in Eureka 7, it was easy. It was LFO, and then that's it. Pretty much. Yeah, LFO. And I think NFO. Whatever. That being said, and Gazel has a malfunction in his FP. And basically what happens is that he has this contraption, which I believe is like a beacon blocker, because he is a smuggler, and he is smuggling in these ECUs. However, what happens is that this beacon blocker was given to him by someone. We don't know who that someone is just yet. And Gazel's friends don't trust the product just yet. So Gazel he turns it on, and there's like this weird smoke, and then this weird smoke fills his FP. He has to make a crash landing, and the crash landing is conveniently right next to he almost hits Ao. Okay, of course, him and Ao they get into like a little confrontation. He's like, "What the fuck were you doing in the beach?" He's like, "Well, what about you and your shitty driving?" So, you know, all that shit. And basically, what happens is that Pippo, he appears to be like the clumsy one of the group, and so he's carrying the suitcase filled with all this like smuggled material, CPU and all kind of stuff. He drops it, the case comes flying open, and then conveniently a bracelet winds up falling on Ao's hands. And Pippo and Gazel, they don't realize this at first, but they do find out later on. But what happens is that they take all the stuff that they can find. The other guy is attending to, he's attending to Gazel's weird FP. However, the ECU of the FP seems to be broken. So, or seems to be damaged. Or, no, correction. Now, if you remember, the beacon had like this little green square in the middle. Well, the little green square seems to have multiplied, and it's covering the FP's ECU. So what happens after that is basically Gazel's talking to Ao about a few things, like, why are you leaving, where are you going? Oh yeah, like, you must be Fukai's kid. And then all of a sudden, and he recognizes that he's not an actual foreigner. Oh, he recognizes that he's not a I forgot what you call it. He was not born on the island, right? He can tell that he was not born on the island. And all of a sudden, he's like, oh, and all of a sudden, there's a big explosion, and it's like a rush, and basically, they call it a scrub burst, all right? And I will get into that later. Now, this scrub burst, basically, just like, it comes out of nowhere. Because the ECU reacts to the beacon blocker, which reacts to the FP and makes like a giant scrub burst. And then from that scrub burst comes this weird contraption. And, oh no, it comes a scrub coral. And then after that comes a weird contraption, alright? And it's very strange, okay? Basically, at this point in time, Ao proceeds to bail. He proceeds to bail, like, get the fuck out. And what happens after that is that he meets up with Naru, who almost collapses. He tells him I think he tells her about the situation, but I'm not too sure on that one. Basically, they all bail, okay? They all bail. They all go back home. Ao goes back home. So does Naru. And then at some point, there's like an explosion in the forest. Ao is not too sure what's going on yet, but he can't worry about that since he is. I think he's either I think he either got into high school or I'm pretty sure he got into high school and he has to get ready for like a ceremony or some kind, but it doesn't really matter because what happens is the next day after we get introduced to his grandfather or his adopted grandfather or vice versa, this individual adopted Ao, and Ao calls him grandpa. But after what happens here is that there's another scrub burst. And then another giant scrub comes falling down, and then after that comes a second scrub burst. After that, other scrub burst, and then this weird contraption comes flying down. The same contraption that came out of the first scrub burst, and they call it a G monster. Okay, and then the G monster proceeds to annihilate everything in sight, and I was freaking the fuck out. He has no idea what's going on. He runs over to Naru's house. And when he gets there, he sees the entire house is level. Now, I highly doubt that Naru's dead, since I do consider her to be a primary character. I'm pretty sure that she's not dead. So what happens here? What happens? Well, you know, he's holding the bracelet that he found from Gazel. And then he notices that, well, he's basically really pissed off at that creature, the G monster that was messing up the entire island. And and then after that happens, that his eyes light up, and then they react to I think it's like either the bracelet lights up and then his eyes react, or his eyes react and then the bracelet lights up. Either way, it doesn't matter. There's a reaction here with the bracelet and his eyes, and then all of a sudden we see Gazel come back. And two things happen at this given time. One, Gazel comes back in order to get the bracelets back because he realized that they forgot something because they went to the Japanese Federation ship, and then they're like, oh, like something's missing here, and then so Gazel came to get it back. The next thing is basically during this point in time, I believe the governing power of that island asks for a request from the organization called Generation Blue or General Blue, and they are led by, or basically one of their teams is called the Pied Piper. Okay, and then at the end of the episode, what happens here is that Gazel asks for the bracelets back, and then the bracelet, and then at the same time of the flashing of eyes, Ao has this flashback of his mother, who is Eureka. She has to be Eureka. She has to be, all right. And basically, that's it. Because he says to Gazel, he's like, no, I'm not giving it to you back. I don't know what it is. I'm not sure what this thing is just yet, but I know it's important, and I'm not gonna give it back to you. And that's the end of the episode. Really long, right? I know, but we're not done yet. We're not done yet. So the first thing I want to point out is there are a few key differences. I mean, first thing first, from Eureka 7 to Eureka 7 AO, is that the notification or the structures, or the mecha known as LFO, they're not there. These G monsters may be LFO, and they may be Zero-type LFO, or they may be N-type LFO. And now, if you remember, the N-types were Anemone, while the G-types, while the Zero-types were Eurekas. So, I'm thinking, because the way this G monster looks more like the N-type that Anemone had, so it could be that version. What I will say is that the next thing I noticed was that when the scrub coral came down, if you remember from Eureka 7, the scrub coral, if I remember, they weren't actual corals. They were more like these creatures. They were these creatures that like fuck shit up really, really bad. Like really, really, really bad. So I'm not too sure on that one. But I remember that the scrub coral were like these creatures that went in there and like annihilated entire cities straight up. And also the next thing that I realized was that this scrub burst, it's the 7 swell. It's the same thing as the 7 swell. So I mean, I don't know, maybe because over the years they changed the names of some things, I guess, after the whole entire scrub invasion. But I mean, I'm just saying here that a few names have changed. Oh yeah, and one more thing. They're using a lot of flying machines but they have not mentioned Trap R. If you remember from Eureka 7, the light particles that the LFO surfed on were called Trap R. These are the same structures, the same vehicles, the FPs, they are also flying on this Trap R. These Trap R light particles. So, I'm not too sure on that one. It is kind of strange. It is kind of weird. But that being said, in my opinion, a good episode, a great first episode of Eureka 7 AO. In my opinion, okay, the G monsters, I like them. I don't care. This dude just went in there, levitated, started just blasting, started annihilating, and he's just chilling, blasting, just blasting everybody. And I'm like, okay, you know, G monsters are legit. They are legit. But yeah, in my opinion, great first episode of Eureka 7 AO. I am going to do weekly reviews of this. However, they will be shorter because I will do the key points. That being said, King of Lightning, rate, comment, subscribe, and I'll see you guys later. Peace. Signing off.